Hey everybody, Rob Orgel with Ballistic MG. In today's video, we're going to look at hearing protection and talk about some of the factors that I found in my experience using hearing protection. First off, we've got the softy kind. Coil them up nice and tight and drive them deep in your ear. They expand and then you're on vacation in your mind. It's great for toning everything out or zoning everything out, but the problem is you lose a lot of situational awareness. So for the range, it might be okay as a backup set, or especially if you're going to double up, meaning you're going to put your earmuffs on top of those ears. That can make sense, but personally, I don't really like this style of ears. Moving on, the Howard lights. Again, it's kind of a price point thing. They're awful cheap and they're kind of the gateway into electronic hearing, but the sound quality and the return, just not all that impressive. And I'll go into more detail about what that means in a moment. But the Howard lights, I would push away from. For a couple more bucks, you can check out the Peltors. And these are kind of like the lower end Peltors. But what I like most about Peltors is that their cups are uniform. So when I have even, the $60 or the $50 headset, I can buy the gel inserts. And this gives me like a really good seal around my ears. And I'll talk more about that momentarily, but just know that these Peltors are all uniform in their cup type, which I find to be a really big perk. So these are a really good like entryway into, I'm dabbling on the weekends, but I'm not ready to commit to very expensive hearing protection. So Howard lights, pass. The Peltors, even the lower end Peltors are pretty solid. Getting into the mid-range, these get a little bit more pricey, but this is the Peltor TACCOMs. And the TACCOMs, much better sound quality, much better battery life, really a high-end set of hearing protection. Unfortunately, the price point's kind of high. You're looking typically between $400 and $600. These are the ComTac 4s. That's kind of a personal favorite for me, and it's like my daily driver, if you will. The reason I like it so much is that I put a AAA battery in each ear, and this will last me like 2.5 rotations overseas. This saw a lot of time in Baghdad where I was instructing over there, and I could get away with 4, 5, 6 months, including the extreme temperatures and leaving these in the Suburbans that got really hot. These just performed really well. If you were wanting to step it up a price point, about $650 gets into the newest TACCOMs, and these are the TACCOM 6. So there's some pros and cons to the 6. What I like about the 6 is the spatial awareness. When somebody's walking around me, I'm very aware to where they are and what they're doing, and it's just really, really good sound quality. So if I was, going back on deployment to do combat operations, I would say the 6s are great. My biggest gripe is the battery life. The battery doesn't last like 2 days on the range for me. Now I'm on the range every day and it's hot and I'm here a lot. These guys, just like they did overseas, are solid performers and I don't change the batteries every day. If you're willing to change the batteries every day, the TACCOM 6s are very good. You just got to know that battery life is going to be a thing for you. So what's better than all these? Having a suppressor, of course. Everybody likes to have their suppressor. And I get it, it's reduced the sound a whole bunch, but I'll still highly recommend that you wear hearing protection when running your suppressor. The reality is, it's like a concert. If you say 140 decibels is the boundary between hearing safe and not, tech spec guru stuff, sure, okay. But when you're at a concert at 139 decibels for 6 hours, your ears are gonna be ringing at the end of that day. So I would highly recommend, unless you're going on a coyote hunt and you might shoot 3 or 4 bullets, if you're gonna have hundreds of rounds of exposure, definitely wear hearing protection, even though you're running a suppressor. Next, let's talk about some of the big things about my hearing protection that makes me like and choose the ones that I've chosen. First is going to be the noise reduction. So obviously, if it fits really nice and the battery lasts forever and it's very comfortable, but it's not reducing noise appropriately, then I'm gonna have hearing loss at the end of the day and hear that high-pitched ringing that I hear all the time called tinnitus. Good thing to stay away from. Sound reduction is a very important thing. So test your hearing protection. That means don't go into the day with your prescribed hearing for the day. Shoot a few rounds and decide, am I comfortable like this? As much as I love this hearing protection, indoor range, no way. I'll double up my ears because it's just not enough hearing protection. So sound reduction first and foremost. Next, this is going to dictate for a lot of people the price. So, I talked about these $400 plus and the $600+ hearing protection. Some people say that's not achievable right now, but know that you're gambling something pretty important. It's one of your senses. Hearing is a pretty darn important thing, and as a guy who has a lot of hearing loss, I would really highly recommend, and I wish I'd done this earlier in my shooting career, have good hearing protection. It's one of your senses, protect it, even if it costs $500-600. Make good choices, especially if you're gonna really dive into the shooting industry. Next is gonna be that proper seal. And this is where I talked about these silicone type cups. So these are made by Peltor, and they're kind of expensive. I want to say like $60-80. Don't quote me, of course. There's an Amazon brand that's pretty darn close to the same quality. I'll rock out to either one of those. Instead of 80 bucks, it's closer to like 30 or 40 bucks. And they are consumable. So because they're silicone, they're squishy. And that means every once in a while you'll get a rip in that seam, and then it bleeds silicone into your hair, and you start pulling out chunks of hair gel, and that's from the silicone cup leaking into your hair. So when I start seeing that, I rotate out those cups. They're consumable. The cups are consumable. The hearing protection is consumable. This is probably the 6th pair of Peltors I've been through. And you say, holy cow, Rob, you said those things are like $500-600 bucks. They are. Everything's consumable. Your rifle's consumable, you're consumable. Everything in a matter of time is going to evade you and be gone. And that's life. But if it's protecting my ears at a high quality, then it's worth that price. So longevity is the next thing we're going to talk about. I expect to get around 2 years out of day-to-day operation out of my Peltors. And that sounds like a short lifespan, but remember, I'm here 5+ days a week, and I'm wearing these for 6+ hours a day. And then when I'm not wearing them, they're in my car getting kicked around in the Arizona heat. So 2 years is actually a pretty good lifespan. For most shooters, they're gonna see the range maybe a 1/10 as much as I do if they're lucky. So my 2 years might be your 10 years. So absolutely take good care of your hearing protection, and you should be able to get 10 years out of them. Whenever I find a favorite, I buy a backup for that favorite. So I'm on my last set of these, so I'll buy another set so that as soon as these guys die, I'll have my next set in the chute ready to go. So that's longevity. Sound quality. So we talked about this earlier about that spatial awareness. If somebody's walking around me to my left, with my eyes closed, I want to be able to identify that. Why are your eyes closed, Rob? Well, sometimes we do stuff at night and we wear night vision, and our peripheral vision kind of gets reduced down to small tubes. And that can be around the 51-degree field of view-ish type situation. So having spatial awareness with good hearing protection can be a pretty big deal. So I want good sound quality. Now, sound return is part of that sound quality, meaning after a shot's fired, how long before I get to hear full volume again? And on something like the Howard Lights and the cheaper stuff, you'll fire and it'll take 2, 3, 4 seconds before you're hearing it full volume again. What that means is I missed the sound of the impact. So if I'm shooting steel or shooting at a coyote, hearing the way that sound contacts, whether it's dirt or rock or a chest cavity or the wet crunch of a brain shot, that's a lot of intel that I'm missing out on because of a slow return on sound. So I really like the Peltors and how fast they return. Obviously, you add a suppressor and you're doubling up that value. So suppressors, good return. Battery life, we talked about how long this guy lasts in comparison to the 6s, because really to me, this is where my heart lies, between these two as my favorites. Again, add a suppressor and you'll really reap the rewards of all of those things, but even if you are running a suppressor, definitely still wear hearing protection. One more way to look at the suppressor thing before I wrap up this video is sunscreen. If you're walking from your car into your office, you probably don't need sunscreen, even if it's really hot out. But if you're gonna be outside all day long in the sun, you might need sunscreen. And this comes back to, am I coyote hunting or am I training for the day? Highly advise, as often as you can, protect your ears, protect those senses, eye pro, ear pull, all those other good things on your range. And on your hunt, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you don't wear hearing protection or eye protection because of reduced exposure. Anyways, I'm Rob Wargell with Ballistic MG. If you like this video and want to see more, please comment down below, like and subscribe. This way we can beat that algorithm that Skynet's trying to push us out because they don't like the things that go pew. And stay safe and keep training. And check out our next video soon.